Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. Now, just last week, at the end of last week, I covered the story where David Hamilton, who is the Information Commissioner, ordered the SNP to release all the files, all the secret files, given to the major investigation into whether or not Nicola Sturgeon had breached the ministerial code. This was relating to the various conduct in dealing in all the allegations against Alex Salmond. Now, whether they do or not is, of course, the big question. They've been ordered to. They know they've got them. They know that it's a legal requirement, or they could be in contempt of court. But is it going to be released? Will this evidence be released by the middle of January per the orders of the Information Watchdog? Now, David Hamilton, who is the Scottish Information Commissioner, to give him his full title, ordered that some of the information withheld to date should be made public. His decision, of course, has followed, quite a few freedom of information requests, and then a battle, really, between a member of the public and the Scottish Government, which dates back, it's been going on now 5 years. This all began when Sturgeon referred herself to a senior Irish lawyer, James Hamilton, then the independent advisor on the ministerial code, who's not related to David Hamilton, just coinky-dink of surname. This was while she was First Minister. She was doing so because a lot of people basically had alleged that she'd failed in her duties to record the meetings and the phone calls, etc., with Salmond and his former Chief of Staff, Jeff Aberdeen. This was between March 29, 2018 and the July 18th, 2018. And as she was required to do so by the code. And it's also that she may have attempted to influence the conduct of the investigation by, the then permanent secretary, Leslie Evans. Now, there's many speculations about what was going on at the time. A lot of people, myself included, are firmly of the opinion, and it is just an opinion, of course, no factual basis of it, it's just the opinion given what we see and perceive, that she was deeply, deeply involved in all aspects of this contrived series of allegations against Alex Salmond in order to oust him for her to take over. Her and her little coterie of witches kind of worked it around and made these spurious allegations, which of course he won in a court case. James Hamilton, make sure I get the right one, James Hamilton, he concluded in his report back in March 2021 that Miss Sturgeon did not breach the ministerial code. But he did make some criticisms of the ex-SNP leader, saying that she had given MSPs an incomplete narrative of events, lying by omission, as it were. There was a 2-page note to his main report, and in which he also underlined his frustration with a considerable number of the redactions placed onto the report ahead of its publication by the Scottish Government because of court orders. He said, and the line he put there was, "I am deeply frustrated that applicable court orders will have the effect of preventing the full publication of a report which fulfills my remit, which I believe would be in the public interest to publish in full. But they don't want that published in full for obvious reasons. The obvious reason being it would make her personally and the SNP generally look like a shady bunch of chancers who lie and cover up everything." Who'd have thought it, eh? Now, Sturgeon and Salmond gave statements to Mr. Hamilton. This is David Hamilton now. Really, we need to sort this out, don't we? But the inquiry was also given evidence by others, including Sturgeon's husband, Peter Murrell, currently awaiting trial, of course. Liz Lloyd, the chief witch, the witch for the bitch, as it were, who was the chief of staff to Sturgeon, as well as Miss Evans and Mr. Aberdeen. There was this huge process drawn out way beyond what it should have been, to be fair. Reviews, appeal, court proceedings, trying to get things removed, trying to get things hidden. And then late last Thursday, and I think I reported this on the Friday morning, late last Thursday, the Scottish Information Commissioner David Hamilton made his decision at that point then that some of the evidence requested back in 2021 must be released in full, no redactions, made public, and he's given them until January the 12th to do so. The question, will they do so by January the 12th? Don't hold your breath. He's saying it had been wrongly withholding information that is in the public interest, and they should not have been restricting it or redacting it for the same reasons. Of course, the Scottish Government can take the decision to release the files, meaning a very busy Christmas New Year period for the journalists, who will be going over every inch of them and pulling it apart. Or they have the option of not releasing it, which would potentially put them in contempt of court, but they do have that option of doing it if they lodge a legal challenge rather than just not publishing it. However, David Hamilton says any legal challenge would fail because they claim they did not own the data. In order to not publish it, they claim they did not own the data. Well, if they don't own the data as they claim, then they cannot be legally responsible for publishing it. So they must publish it. It must be theirs. It's not theirs to not publish, put it that way. They've walked themselves into their own demise on this one. But the government could contest Hamilton's decision that it had failed to accurately interpret some of the applicants' requests, or that legal exemption to freedom of information were not wrongfully applied, etc. There's many routes they can do, but as Hamilton said, that would only be if it was their information which they've now denied, or previously denied. It's a very, very curious... it's almost like a maze, isn't it? It's twisty and turny, and nobody really has any clear idea of what's going on, who's saying or what's going to be coming out of it. It's there. But at the moment, the Scottish Government are not giving any indication of publication. It looks likely they will challenge it. They will go to court again and probably lose. But eventually it will all come out. And at that point, of course, we can all point at it and go, ha ha ha, we told you, she's a bitch. And then, of course, there'll be other court cases coming from it, because undoubtedly what's happened and what's been going on is very probably illegal. Say it isn't so. Imagine that, the SNP doing shady shit that's illegal. I know. I find it hard to believe as well. Anyway, all far too late for Alex Salmond, of course, but at least Moira might get a moment's joy out of it. As usual, let me know what you think down in the comments, and I'm afraid we'll speak to you later. Thanks a lot. Bye.